कैसे हैं आप लोग? So yeah, for today's class, current affairs, 2nd Feb 1977 was a date taken for the celebration of World's Wetlands Day. I'm also good, Divya, doing well. So, this is your Middle East and this is your Iran, right? Here is your Turkmenistan, Gulf of Persia, and here is a location in Iran. This is your Ramsar Wetlands Site. So what is wetland? The question is, the term wetlands, as we call the forest, lungs of earth, sorry, heart of earth, it purifies the air. Similarly, wetlands are called kidney of the earth. It is called kidney of the earth. So in a human body, what is the function of a kidney? What is the function of a kidney? So kidney works for filtration. Is it? Filtration of all the bad elements, acidic elements in our body, and it discharges or ejects through the medium of urine. Similarly, the wetlands are the kidney of the earth, contents of moist land with habitation, forest, etc. So, in 1970s, what happened? These wetlands were completely getting exploited. So what happens? The Ramsar in Iran, because Iran is an arid country, this was the only wetland left here, and it helps all the migratory birds to come to this space for livability. This wetland helps in oxygen. Wetland helps in maintaining the temperature of the local area, right? So it was getting completely exploited. With that consideration of scale, the International Wetlands Conservation Act like Ramsar sites are being designed. दुनिया भर में इस रामसार को कंसिडर करके बहुत सारे साइट्स लिए गए. And then 2nd February is a day which is celebrated as your World's Wetlands Day. So in India, so आज Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, Ministry of Environment and Climate Change has tweeted that India has become the largest inclusive country for 49 Ramsar sites in South Asia. All of you must be seeing the map on your screen of India's Ramsar sites. इंडिया का मैप दिख रहा होगा आप सबको. सो इंडिया के सारे लोकेशंस दिख रहे हैं. 49 रामसर साइट्स ऑफ इंडिया. इसमें MOECC ने यानी कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इन्वायरमेंट एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज ने 2 नए रामसर साइट्स को इंक्लूड किया है इस साल ऑन द वेरी डेफिनेट डेट 2 Feb 1977 से 2 Feb 1992. 2 कौन कौन से रामसर साइट्स है? सो वन इज इन योर ईस्टर्न यूपी, बखीरा राम साइट्स which is near to Gorakhpur. All right, it is a lake water body है. संत कबीर नगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आता है. It implies in संत कबीर नगर district and one of the largest Ramsar site of Asia. सेकेंड जो रामसर साइट है जिसको इंक्लूड किया गया इंक्लूडिंग 49 रामसर साइट्स ऑफ इंडिया इज योर खजीडिया रामसर साइट्स. रामसर साइट इन डिस्ट्रिक्ट जामनगर. गुजरात. ये 2 नए रामसर साइट्स को इंक्लूड किया गया है recently on the 2nd Feb means today itself. Okay, so these 2 included has became the largest Ramsar sites country of South Asia. इंडिया बन चुका है. हर साल वर्ल्ड्स वेटलैंड डे का एक थीम होता है. इस साल का थीम है वेटलैंड interaction with people. Theme 2022. Okay, so this is your theme. This theme implies that we need to protect and we must protect the wetlands of the world with the interaction of people, and people should consider the sensitivity elements in themselves जिसके साथ हम awareness program create करें within the people. Ministry of Environment and Climate Change has also associated to create awareness among people to have some sensitivity throughout our wetlands, right? तो इंडिया के जितने भी आपको लोकेशंस दिख रहे होंगे कुछ कुछ जगहों पे वो सारे के साथ 2 नए इंक्लूड हुए हैं विच इज़ योर करंट अफेयर्स ऑफ कोर्स. इस साल मे बी प्रीलिम्स में पूछा जाए कि व्हाट आर द लिस्टिंग इन द लिस्टिंग ऑफ रामसर साइट्स, व्हाट आर द 2 न्यू साइट्स ऑफ रामसर इंक्लूडेड इन द लिस्ट in the year 2022. So one is your Khajidia Ramsar site and second is your Bakhira Ramsar site. Bakhira is in Uttar Pradesh, Khajidia Ramsar site in Jamnagar, Gujarat. So yeah, that's it for World's Wetland Day on 2nd of Feb 2022. किस दिन मनाया जाता है? आज के दिन 2 फरवरी को सेलिब्रेट किया जाता है. ठीक है. So yes, that's it and we are proceeding for the lecture of today. So today's lecture starting with urbanization or global पैटर्न ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन। फिर हम लोग थोड़ा सा साउथ एशिया के सिटीज के बारे में भी डिस्कस करेंगे, है ना, जैसे जकार्ता, बीजिंग, हांगकांग, सिंगापुर, लुआला कुआलालंपुर, मालदीव्स, दिल्ली, मुंबई, because we need to understand the expansion of cities in different ways. So all of you understood the current affairs? याद हो जाएगा सबको कौन से 2 साइट्स हैं रिसेंटली ऐड हुए? All right, so let's ahead towards your urbanization. So urbanization is coming from the word urban. Huh. Urbanization is coming from the word urban. What is the meaning of urban? So this meaning has, yes, of course, the concept in it. It means that people residing and creating a region with planning, structure, development, trade, business, commerce, etc. Right? So urban, and the process is called, the process of making a region urban is urbanization. Right? The process of making a region urban is urbanization. So बहुत ही simple सा line, पहला line, urbanization is the process of becoming urban, right? It's a process of becoming urban. That's called urbanization. Industrialization. Industrialization is a process of making industries. What is liberalization? Liberalization is a process of creating liberty, right? Similarly, urbanization is a process of becoming urban. So urban is a space that we create to live, right? यहाँ पर क्या है एक और चीज, agriculture is not the primary activity. If we are calling it urban, agriculture is not the primary activity. होगा मतलब वहां पे भी लोग एग्रीकल्चर करते होंगे, लेकिन प्राइमरी एक्टिविटी नहीं है. पीपल आर इन्वॉल्व इन सेवरल अदर एक्टिविटीज ऑल्सो, है ना, किसमें? कंस्ट्रक्शन, सर्विसेज, हाउसिंग, shops, malls, salon, school, colleges, hospitals, etc. So a place where agriculture is not the primary activity but other service activities are the major primary activity, that is a urban space, है ना. दुनिया का सबसे पहला अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन क्या था? लेट्स कम फ्रॉम द हिस्ट्री, है ना. सो विच सिविलाइजेशन वाज वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन? यस, हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन, यानी कि इंडस वैली civilization is called as World's first urban civilization. First urban civilization. Why it is called world's first urban civilization? Because of quadrangle roads. Second, drainage. Third, brick system. Fourth, sewage system. Fifth, house water management. Sixth, pipelines. Seventh, common lake called Great Bath. Market. Central Pass. And Pakka houses. Multi-story houses. मतलब 2 मंजिले थे, multi-story houses, right? So these all structure, planning, development, when the anthropogenic activity happened in Harappa, this all symbolize with the urban culture and pattern of the civilization. That's why it is called the world's first urban civilization, right? It is called the world's first urban civilization, the Harappan civilization. There is dispute, Shahbaz, between Mesopotamia and Harappa. The historians who had incurred Harappa say Harappan, and some are with the contrary that Mesopotamia was the first urban civilization. But both were. But अगर हम history के lines से बात करें तो Indus Valley civilization पहले था, Mesopotamia के भी पहले था, right? मेसोपोटामिया की हिस्ट्री डेटिंग्स के बहुत पहले हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन ऑलरेडी बिल्ड हो चुका था, और वहाँ पे इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन और मेसोपोटामिया के बीच में ट्रेड रिलेशंस के भी जो एविडेंसेस हैं दैट हैज़ बीन सीन, जो केन्स और बड़े बड़े जो सुराही कहते हैं घड़े मिट्टी के, जो मेसोपोटामिया में बनते थे वाइन्स के ट्रेड के लिए, खुदाई के बाद वैसा ही कुछ सिमिलर जो था वो हड़प्पा में देखने को मिला, विच शोज दैट दे हैड अ वेरी गुड ट्रेड रिलेशन. ठीक है. सो यस, दिस वाज द फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड अर्बनाइजेशन, अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन. यहाँ पे दूसरा, so write it down. In the modern time, demographic phenomena happened. What is demographic phenomena? In modern time, demographic phenomena happened which resulted the relative growth of compact towns and cities with the expansion and growth of industries, service sector, transportation. Industries, service sector and transportation. ठीक है. दुनिया भर के शहरों की अगर बात करें तो सबसे पहले जो कहावत किसी शहर के लिए लिखी गई होगी, और we use in a common terms, that a Rome is not built in a day, right? It's a classical vintage city of the world, Rome. It has its cultural and aesthetic point of view also, because of the Europe and the Europe culture, the elitism, everything, the architecture, everything in Rome shows its great hierarchy, its history, that how it is being built. That's why the phase comes and the line in the quotation comes that a Rome is not built in a day. मतलब किसी भी शहर को, कोई भी शहर का जो निर्माण है वो एक दिन में संभव नहीं है, whether it is Rome or any other city. It takes its own time to grow and it takes its own time to die also, है ना. ग्रो करके अगर हम बहुत सारी थ्योरीज को पढ़ें सिटीज़ पर, तो जितने मॉडल्स और थ्योरीज हैं वो कहता है कि अ सिटी हैज़ इट्स ओन टाइम टू ग्रो एंड देन ओन टाइम टू डाई, right? Best example with us is Jakarta, है ना. So Jakarta is an overpopulated city now. It cannot assimilate more number of people, so now it is dying. So every city has its growth stages and phases. Once expansion, bloom of the city, high time, then it starts retarding back and then death of the city, right? It has its own evidences of death, but yeah, at the end the city grows and develops and then dies. So write it down here. The modern association of urbanization has three major concepts. First, demographic phenomena. First is your demographic phenomena. Second is change in society. Second is change in society with time. And urbanization as a behavioral process. And urbanization as behavioral process. डेमोग्राफिक फेनोमेना फिर हम लोग थोड़ा डिस्कस करते हैं, बस एक क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज डेमोग्राफिक फेनोमेना. So यहाँ पे write it down, demographic phenomena and definition. What is demographic phenomena? Phenomena is an activity which goes with the phases, right? So demography यहाँ पे जुड़ गया. Demography means population, people. So demographic phenomena is a phase when the urbanization process includes the absolute and relative growth of city or town with the settlement of population. बिना लोगों के कोई शहर बन सकता है या बस सकता है? Is it possible? Count any city of the world. क्या वहां पर लोग के बिना वो शहर रन हो सकता है? मतलब मैकेनिज्म ऑफ सिटी एवरी डे इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो फर्स्ट स्ट्रक्चरल कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मेकिंग अ सिटी इज डेमोग्राफिक फेनोमेना. रोज सुबह लोग उठें, अखबार वाले सुबह 4 बजे उठ रहे हैं, फिर 4 बजे उठ के 7 बजे तक हर किसी के घर में अखबार आ रहा है. दूध वाला ही 6 बजे उठ रहा है, 8 बजे तक आपके घर में दूध आता है शहर में, है ना. Then everybody gets up, students go to their institutes, colleges, schools, every family head goes for the work, right? Every offices opens at 9, closes at 7. Nightlife starts with restaurants, bars. Some telecom industries of India that works for outsourcing of the international companies, they work on the international timelines in cities, like from the night shift, from the afternoon shift. So a city never sleeps. So for the mechanism of a city to run, the demographic phenomena, the demography is a very important element. लोगों के बिना तो कोई शहर नहीं बच सकता, खड़ा भी नहीं हो सकता, चल भी नहीं सकता. Any form, in any hierarchy, white collar jobs, blue collar jobs, yellow collar jobs, non collar jobs, millennial jobs, every kind of job is required to run and mechanize the rhythm of a city. So this is your demographic phenomena. Okay. यहाँ पे लिख सकते हैं एक नोट लाइन, इंक्रीजिंग प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ पॉपुलेशन एंड द एक्टिविटी ऑफ लाइवलीहुड, इंक्रीजिंग proportion of population and their livelihood activity is an important key for the mechanism and rhythm for the city. Now how the structure of society changes, है ना. अब रूरल और अर्बन सोसाइटीज आर डिफरेंट, देयर स्ट्रक्चर्स आर डिफरेंट. तो फर्स्ट फेज की लोग एक जगह बसे और वहाँ का सोसाइटी स्ट्रक्चर गांव से या किसी और रीजन से थोड़ा सा अलग हो, देन इट डेवलप्स इन अर्बन कल्चर, राइट. सो इन अर्बन सिटीज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ सोसाइटी इज डिफरेंट. यहाँ पे लड़कियाँ जेंडर एम्पावर्ड के साथ पलती बढ़ती हैं. वुमेन आर ऑल्सो वर्किंग इन रूरल एरियाज, ऑल्सो वुमेन आर ऑल्सो वर्किंग बट इन फील्ड्स, है ना, और एज आंगनबाड़ी सेविकास और एज टीचर्स इन रूरल स्कूल्स. बट in urban areas they are working in every kind of variety of jobs that they can sit, they can work, right. So first is your structure of society with the proportion they are growing mentally, educationally, compassionately, of course. So here the structure changes as compared to other reasons. तो लिखिए यहाँ पर, demographic process then link and orient itself. Demographic process link and orient itself with the structural change in the society. With the structural change in the society ठीक है. यहाँ पर let's say we can correlate with human development index. So human development index में अगर we have monetary assistance, अगर हमारी capitalism अच्छी हो जाती है तो we can buy things, we can offer the both child, a male and a female child, equal kind of education. Education empowers and create awareness. This awareness create a different structure of society, more equal, है ना, more progressive. So here what happens in urban areas, the society changes with capitalism growth. Write it down. Society changes with growth of capitalism, which offers people equality, education, equality, education, empowerment, progressive mindset, right. So now the societal structure linked with behavioral process. तीन concepts पे हम बात कर रहे हैं. So write down the third concept. The third concept of urbanization, which is behavioral process. The third concept of urbanization, which is behavioral process, especially the large cities, especially the large cities, have been identified as the centers of social change or social change in dogmas, have identified as the centers of social change and social change in dogmas. जो प्रथाएं चलती आ रही हैं उनका बहिष्कार, ऐसी प्रथाएं जो पीपल दैट कैन एक्सप्लॉइट पीपल, वो कहीं ना किसी स्तर पे लोगों को हानि पहुंचा सकती है, those kind of dogma, cultures and practices are being abandoned and boycotted from these large centers of cities. तो behavioral process भी कहीं ना कहीं एक शहरीकरण को जन्म देता है. अगर आप किसी छोटे जगह पे जाएं, हरियाणा के या लेट्स से राजस्थान के या इनफैक्ट बिहार, यूपी एंड माय स्टेट ऑफ कोर्स, सो वहाँ पर लड़कियों को शाम के बाद मूवेबिलिटी नहीं है, दे कैन नॉट वर्क, they cannot go out, they cannot go and drive herself to some other place. She always needs some men to protect and care. But in these cities, these dogmas are being boycotted, that a woman can take care of herself, she can go out, she can do whatever she wants to, her life, her choice kind of thing. So behavioral process भी शहरीकरण में जुड़ा हुआ है. A city is not developed with buildings and houses, but with mindsets and behavioral development also, right? So this happens, wait, I'm just taking 1 minute of break and I'm just starting back, okay, just 1 minute. So we were talking about the behavioral process. So write down, the behavioral process is linked with the societal structure and capitalism, which includes again progressive mindsets, manner of equality among others, no barrier of caste, religion, creed and race, and orientation towards and orientation towards entity of इकोनॉमिक इंडिपेंडेंस. वहाँ पे लोगों को, लोग अपने काम से जाने जाते हैं, ना कि अपने खानदान और वट एवर इट इज. सो इकोनॉमिक इंटाइटलमेंट, इकोनॉमिक इंडिपेंडेंस इज अ फर्स्ट बिहेवियरल change in between the people. If you go to the rural margins, there are differences of ethnic group, differences between the tribal groups, between the colon groups, between the races, between religion, between caste analogies, right? So of course, in behavioral process in urban cities and development, everybody has its economic independence and entitlement. Now, note line here. The contrary statement of cities has been given in recent times of the years, has been given in the recent times of the years, which says that there were large cities in every part of the world before, every part of the world before industrial revolution. So some of the geographers and researchers claim that the concept of cities is being more developed and oriented post industrial revolution, But some of the challenges given to the statement that no, if you see the history and the background, the cities were already in the existential form in earlier times also. Write it down here. Most large cities in other parts of the world were in existence form way before industrial revolution. Way before industrial revolution. Cities like Delhi, Patna, Lahore, cities like Delhi, yeah, I will repeat the same statement that many researchers claimed that urban city concept in modern times, urban city concepts in modern time is a phase of, is a post phase of industrial revolution, is a post phase of industrial revolution. But the challenges claimed, but the challenges claimed that the existence of cities, the existence of cities in different parts of the world, in different parts of the world is way before industrial revolution, is way before industrial revolution, like Delhi, Patna, Lahore, Agra, Surat, Beijing, Shanghai, Jakarta, Cairo, which was earlier called Alexandria, है ना, is long before industrial revolution. Now next point, बेसिक्स ऑफ अर्बन सेटलमेंट. क्या क्या क्राइटेरियाज है, बेसिस है अर्बन सेटलमेंट को पढ़ने का, जानने का? बेसिस ऑफ अर्बन settlements. Okay, so first line, urban generally means to development of cities and towns. Urban generally means to development of city and town. Now, second, size of population. Size of population. यहाँ पे एग्जाम्पल लिख लीजिए. In Israel, irrespective of size of population, the settlement is non-agricultural. वहाँ का settlement जो है खेती नहीं करता है, nomadic है, तो वो भी बहुत सारे शहर का निर्माण करता है. The population is more non-agriculture. But a city in Chile, a city in Chile is a town center with urban characteristics. Is a town center of urban characteristics. Third basis is your type of settlement. Type of settlement. A urban settlement should be concrete, cemented and planned. Okay? But यहाँ पे भी contrary है, exception है. But cities in Canada have less population probably 1,000 number of people in one city. In one city. In USA, the urban settlements have more than 2,500 people, more than 2,500 people over a short span, over a short scale of area. More than 2,500 people living in a city over a short scale of area. तो कहीं पे एक्सेप्शन है कि शहर में बहुत घनी आबादी होनी चाहिए. So we should look of course the cities of Canada जहाँ पर वीज़ा पॉलिसी भी बहुत easy है, that Canada always asks for people to work because of the less population congestion in the country. We are discussing of course India all together with these concepts, so India को भी साथ साथ ही पढ़ेंगे. So in India the urban settlements have been defined on some criteria. In India, census 1991, India characterized division of cities. First criteria was all places with municipality corporation and cantonment board or committee. All urban areas will have municipal corporation cantonments right, municipal corporations, cantonments, board and committees. So first criteria. Second criteria, all other places have minimum population of 5,000 for town, minimum population of 5,000 for town, at least 75% of population should work in non-agricultural sectors. Non-agricultural sectors. So these were the criteria with the census 1991. All urban areas should have municipal corporations, cantonments, board and committees. Minimum population of 5,000 for a town. 75% of population should work in non-agriculture sectors. Okay. Then you have third. Third is about population density. Sorry, first, second, third, fourth. Fourth, population density. All of you are aware about population density, right? So population density should be around 400 persons per square kilometer. Per square kilometer. Population density 400 persons per square kilometer. So this is your population density. Okay. In addition, you can write next. In addition, so ये शहरों का है, but if there is any industrial settlement, any industrial incursion, तो वहाँ पे फिर क्या criteria? That is extension of city and town. Note star mark, extension of cities and towns. So in addition of प्रोजेक्ट कॉलोनीज, कहीं पे बहुत बड़ा बांध बन रहा है ना, जैसे पोलावरम पे कल ही मैंने आपको लिखने के लिए दिया है, आप सबने सर्च किया? ठीक है, अभी आज इंग्लिश का ज्योग्राफी का खत्म हो जाएगा ना, कल से आई थिंक गवर्नेंस पढ़ेंगे आप लोग इस टाइम पे. सो यू हैव टाइम टिल मंडे, सो यू कैन सर्च एन R&D अबाउट पोलावरम केस स्टडी ऑफ मल्टीफेसेट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. माइग्रेशन का एक और कॉन्सेप्ट है विस्थापन, है ना. विस्थापन मतलब कहीं और रिहैबिलिएशन. सो इस पर थोड़ा सा बात करेंगे, और मतलब बात क्या, आपको आंसर्स लिखना है, यू हैव टू राइट आंसर ऑन इट. सो यस, इन एक्सटेंशन फॉर्म जहाँ पे एक प्रॉपर परमानेंट सिटी नहीं है, टेम्प्रेरी टाइम के लिए सिटीज़ बनाए जाते हैं. कोई बहुत बड़ा डैम बन रहा है, हाईवे बन रहा है, तो मैनी ऑफिशियल डिप्लॉय देयर project workers in a project colonies, right? So in addition, in marginal cases beyond the border, in marginal cases, such project colonies or area of intensive industrial development, project colonies or area of intensive development projects, railway colonies, and important tourist sites come in the category of urban part. उनको भी urban part में categorize किया जाता है. Come in the category of urban part. So census of India ने अर्बन सिटीज़ को भी 6 कैटेगरीज दिया है विद द रिकमेंडेशन ऑफ कोर्स यूनाइटेड नेशंस में भी ऐसा ही क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ सिटीज़ है, उसी का रेफरेंस लेकर इंडिया ने भी क्लासिफिकेशन और क्लास डिवीजन ऑफ सिटीज़ किया है. सो लेट्स सी दैट. Yeah. So in order to make the international data comparable, in order to make the international data comparable, United Nations 1958 suggested, United Nations 1958 suggested the data on urban population should be presented in a standardized scale. Should be presented in a standardized scale. In accordance with this recommendation of United Nations, इसी recommendation के तहत, in accordance with the recommendation of United Nations, the census of India also classifies the urban centers into 6 classification. 6 classification, major 6 classification. Class 1, population of 1 lakh or more. Class 1, population of 1 lakh or more. Class 2, Class 2 is population category between 50,000 to category between 50,000 to 9999. The fifth greatest or largest number 99,999 पॉपुलेशन. 1 लाख ना हो, अगर 1 लाख और उसके ऊपर है तो क्लास 1 टाइप ऑफ सिटी है. अगर 50,000 से 99,999 तक पॉपुलेशन आबादी है वो क्लास 2 है. एंड देन द थर्ड इज योर 20,000 टू 4999 population. Then class 4, class 4 is your 10,000 to 19,999. Class 5, 5,000 to between 5,000 to 9,999. And class 6, class 6 is below 5,000. Okay. So these are the 4 classification of cities in comparison or in data of population. ठीक है. So ये आप लोग लिख लीजिए, इस पे भी हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे विद एग्जाम्पल ऑफ सिटीज. Now, let's see the background of urbanization and urban growth, if we call. So, origin and growth of urbanization is the next topic. इसको मिटाएं. Okay. Uh, this is the category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Growth of urbanization. So write it down. The process of urbanization has a long history. The process of urbanization has a long history. It was originated during prehistoric period. Prehistoric period when people started the domestication of plants. Domestication of plants मतलब खेती करने लगे, है ना. People started domestication of plants and animals and animals before 10,000 years ago. Before 10,000 years ago. Next, the cultivation of crops. The cultivation of crops enabled the cultivation of crops enable men enabled men to change their economy, to change their economy, to produce food and to live in a better environment, to produce food and to live in a better environment. The earlier evidences of this livelihood activity, the earlier evidences of this livelihood activity have evidences in permanent settlements of Mesopotamia, Indus Valley Civilization, Mesopotamia, Indus Valley Civilization, Egypt, China, and Central America. The well documented urban settlement in Ur groups of Mesopotamia. The well documented urban settlement in Ur groups of Mesopotamia, present day of Iraq, present day of Iraq, उर को फायर कहते थे वहां पे मेसोपोटामियन लैंग्वेज में, has approximately the lineage till approximately the lineage till before 1900 BC, before Christ से भी पहले 1900 साल पहले तक भी उनका वहाँ पे अस्तित्व था. So approximately to 1900 BC. The centers of the development of Ur civilization in Mesopotamia shows the architecture of temples, royal palace and symmetry, each of the colonies have a pattern of central alignment which connected the central space or the central region of the city, just like Connaught Place in Delhi, World Trade Center in New York. सो उस तरीके का वहाँ पे सेटलमेंट था कि हर तरफ से आप निकलें तो एक सेंटर रीजन है, मेन रीजन है, वहाँ पे आप शहर के पहुँचेंगे. मतलब कहीं ना कहीं प्लानिंग था. अर्बन मतलब प्लानिंग है ना. ओके. So with the expansion of cultivation, some members of society, with the expansion of cultivation, some members in society decided to be freed from food production and entangled themselves in army, in cantonment building, in construction, becoming the agents of trade and business. All right, full stop. By 3000 BC, the true culture of urban societies can be seen in the Middle East. मिडिल ईस्ट को अगर आज से 5000 साल पहले देखें तो वहाँ पर बिल्कुल मतलब आपको एकदम अर्बन सेंटर्स देखने को मिल रहा है एज पर दी हिस्ट्री रिसर्च हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड. क्या है, किस तरीके से देखने को मिल रहा है? पीपल वेयर मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, सम वेयर मर्चेंट्स, some were traders, some were officials and some were priests. मतलब अलग variety of activities है other than agriculture. Some were merchants, some were traders, some were officials and priests. This civilization of cities contributed to the complex arithmetic of astronomy of these early civilizations. कहते हैं कि this Middle East has so close entangled with India, so all these developments of Middle East are in the raw phase of Indian development. Okay, next I'm repeating it back. This development of civilization contributed to the complex arithmetic and astronomy development. Complex arithmetic and astronomy development in early civilizations. पहले के जो civilizations रहे होंगे उनका एक कॉम्प्लेक्स अंडरस्टैंडिंग समझने का इस सिविलाइजेशन ने, जो कि 3000 साल बिफोर क्राइस्ट जो पनपता है एज अ मॉडर्न सोसाइटी मिडिल ईस्ट में, उसने उसको सॉल्व करने में बहुत हेल्प की, विच मीन्स कि इन साइंटिफिक ऑरा दे वर ऑल्सो वेरी गुड, राइट. सो द डाइवर्सिफिकेशन ऑफ सर्विसेज इन मिडिल ईस्ट ड्यूरिंग दिस टाइम, the diversification of services in Middle East during this time is also because of surplus food production by some sections of society. अब अगर खेती पूरी आ रही है इतनी कि बाकी लोग भी और अदर सर्विसेज में भी जुड़कर काम करके आ सके, तो द एक्सपेंशन ऑफ अदर सर्विसेज वर आल्सो ग्रोइंग with the surplus amount of food production. So write it down. The agricultural surplus allowed urban population to diverse itself from food production to other activities. To diverse itself from food productions to other activities. With this evidences, some architectural evidences also show the exploration of cities in way back time. Example, the temples and pyramids of Egypt, the temples and pyramid of Egypt, the tombs of Sumeria, the tombs of Sumeria, the urban structure of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, the development of Greek and Athens, full stop. Many of cities and towns re-emerged in medieval times. Many of cities and towns re-emerged in medieval times. After 11th century, the most parts of Western Europe became trade linkages for traders and merchants. Became trade linkages for traders and merchants. Consequently, this led to the development and progress of progress of cities like Paris, London, Geneva, मिलान. ये सारी कब है? 12वीं शताब्दी तक ग्रो हो चुकी होती हैं एज अ सिटी. दे आर विंटेज सिटीज. इफ यू आर गोइंग टू ट्रैवल यूरोप, दीज सिटीज आर दी विंटेज सिटीज. कभी पुरानी ही नहीं हुई. यू नो विंटेज मीन्स दैट इट नेवर गेट out of fashion. So these cities of Europe got explored during 12th century when the trade was very finite. तभी से ये शहर बहुत ज़्यादा प्रसिद्ध हैं. लंदन, जेनेवा, मिलान, वेनिस, Cologne, Cologne, and of course Paris. और लाइक इफ़ यू गो टू यूरोप, सो वहाँ पे आज भी स्ट्रीट मार्केट का, यानी कि आप रास्ते पे खड़े होकर शॉपिंग करें, इसका बड़ा चलन है. थ्रू द विंटेज कल्चर वहाँ पर जो मार्केट का ग्रोथ था वो बड़े बड़े दुकानों से ज़्यादा फ्लीट मार्केटिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट है. जैसे सरोजनी, लाजपत या ऐसे आपको अभी एशियन सिटीज़ में भी इस तरह के मार्केट का कल्चर मिलेगा. बट इट इज़ कमिंग एंड रेफरिंग फ्रॉम दीज सिटीज़ इटसेल्फ. मोस्ट ऑफ दीज अर्बन सेंटर्स where the local market towns centered on the marketplace near the church. चर्च सेंटर होता था किसी भी शहर का, और चर्च के आसपास का जो कोर्डिंगल रोड्स है वहीं पर मार्केट लगा करती थी, क्योंकि लोग रिलीजियस एक्टिविटीज़ के लिए आते थे. मीनवाइल दे शॉप फॉर देमसेल्व्स. ठीक है, आज भी ये प्रथा है अगर आप देखेंगे तो. एंड subsequently many centers and markets grow with combined progress. इंडिया में भी बहुत से टाइप्स ऑफ सिटीज़ हैं. इसको हम लोग मंडे की क्लास में समझेंगे विद द रेफरेंस ऑफ एनसीईआरटी. एनसीईआरटी में डिवीजन है कैंटोनमेंट सिटी, कल्चरल सिटी, इकोनॉमिक सिटीज़ कौन कौन सी हैं, कैपिटल सिटी क्या है. ठीक है, राइट इट डाउन. सो इन इंडिया also many of the historical monuments of medieval period in India, many of the historical monuments of medieval period such as Qutub Minar in Delhi, Taj Mahal in Agra, Red Fort in Delhi, Jama Masjid, Delhi, Shahi Masjid, of course, in Indian subcontinent, Lahore, Mughal Gardens in Delhi, Naseem Bagh in Srinagar, were constructed during the medieval exploration of India. Next, आ जाइए next line पे. The rapid growth of urbanization in Europe, occurred after Industrial Revolution of 1779. Occurred after the Industrial Revolution of 1779. By 1800, all the cities have population surge to million. 10 लाख तक आबादी बढ़ गई. Surge to million. Okay. Paris and London were the two most congested cities of Europe. Paris and London were the two most congested cities of Europe during the phase of Industrial Revolution. By the end of 18th century, more than 50% of the population were urban. Similarly, urbanization in USA, Canada, Latin America, Australia, urbanization in USA, Canada, Australia, Latin America, started only after our industrial revolution. The USA became the first predominated urban hub in the decade of 1910 and 20. Rest other parts of the world during 20th century was under the colonial rule of Europe and European was under the colonial rule of Europe and European. Yeah. Okay, I will take a pause. I do take a pause, of course. So should I repeat, Ankit? आपने लिखा? Okay, I'm repeating the last line. So rest of the world or rest parts of the world were under the colonial rule of Europe and European people. Okay, from America I should repeat. So urbanization in USA, urbanization in USA become predominant in the decade of 1910 to 20. उसी टाइम पे अमेरिका अपने आप ही खड़ा होने की कोशिश करता है in 1910 and बार 1920. ठीक है. But rest of the world was under the colonial rule of European. Under the colonial rule of Europeans, some under Dutch, some under Portuguese, some under French, and some by Britishers. ठीक है. जैसे ही यूरोप में इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन प्रोग्रेस करता है, दे वर रिक्वायरिंग रिसोर्सेज, रॉ मटेरियल्स. तो वहाँ पे 4 सेक्शंस है विद द लैंग्वेज. डच है ना, डेनमार्क, पोर्टुगीज, पोर्टुगल, स्पेन, एंड देन फ्रेंच, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, स्पेन, एंड देन ब्रिटिशर्स इन द वेल आइलैंड. सो दे ऑल वर रिक्वायरिंग रिसोर्सेज. तो कहीं पे डच ने कब्जा कर लिया अफ्रीका के किसी देश को, साउथ एशिया के किसी देश को, कहीं पे पोर्टुगीज ने, कहीं पे फ्रेंच ने, कहीं पे ब्रिटिशर्स ने. इंडिया में विद द टाइम ऑफ 1800 ब्रिटिशर्स वर मोस्टली इन द मोर प्रोविंसेस बिकॉज दे वर मोर पावरफुल एंड दे tend to collapse Dutch and Portuguese and French armies. But of course in Goa there were Portuguese, in South India there were Dutch and Portuguese altogether and French. So you will see the cultural identity of these colonies in South India and Goa, but the majority of Indian subcontinent was under the रूल ऑफ ब्रिटिशर्स. ठीक है. तो बाकी लेकिन अमेरिका के साथ ऐसा नहीं था. अमेरिका 1910 में ही अपने आप एक अर्बनाइज, सोलो अर्बनाइज कल्चर की तरह ग्रो हो रहा था. दैट्स व्हाई इट इज़ वे मोर अहेड एंड डेवलप्ड. ठीक है. सो आई एम टेकिंग few minutes of break as I'm not feeling well today. After then we will discuss the background of Indian cities, the growth of Indian cities, how the Indian city was under the process of urbanization. Sorry for this long break. I'm not feeling well today. Yes. So let's talk about India, the Indian cities and the background of the development for India. So most of the Indian cities are not similar like the Western development of cities. So Indian cities has their own significant development pattern. Indian cities has its own significant development pattern. So just write it down here. The cities of Kurukshetra, the cities Kurukshetra, Rohtak in Haryana, Muzaffarpur in Uttar Pradesh, Lakshar and Mangalpur in Uttarakhand, Muzaffarpur, Darbhanga, Bhagalpur in Bihar, in these cities till now in India, in शहरों में, till now in India, more than 15% of population, more than 15% of population is engaged in agriculture, is engaged in agriculture. In India. So जो हम characteristics और criteria दिए कि majority of population should be engaged in non-agriculture activities, इन शहरों को जब research pattern में लाया गया इंडिया के, so it was very obvious to understand that still people in these cities are growing, है ना? तो these cities in the growth mode and panel, still the population, 15% of population was involved in agriculture. Write it down. Urban population of China is also practicing agriculture, in different cities. With the census of 1991, यहाँ पे pointers में आप लोग सब लिखिए. With the census of 1991, first point, 1/3 of Asia's and Africa's total population, 1/3 of Asia's and Africa's total population was urban. Followed by Latin America 66%, followed by Latin America 66%, Anglo-America, which Anglo-America means US and Canada, Anglo-America and Europe has 78% of population were urban. 78 of population were urban. In 2000, 28% in 2000, 28% of Afro-Asian population were urban. Now, the next topic, यहाँ पे नोट लाइन लिख लीजिए फिर नेक्स्ट टॉपिक या so it is estimated that by the year 2025, it is estimated that by the year 2025, the present time less developed cities, the present time less developed cities will be double developed than the earlier nodes of cities, will be double developed than the earlier nodes of cities. For example, you have Chandigarh, Indore. These cities are developing more exclusively than the Bhopal, of course, Delhi, Mumbai, right? So write it down, the next topic, recent growth, recent urban growth. The world's urban population, the world's urban population is currently growing at 4 times of the rate of rural population. मतलब अर्बन शहरी जो आबादी है वो 4 गुना ज़्यादा बढ़ रही है रूरल पॉपुलेशन से. By 1990 and 2025, by 1990 and 2025, the number of people living in urban areas, the number of people living in urban areas is projected to double or more to 5, is projected to double or more than 5 billion, is projected to double or more than 5 billion. If it will happen, if it will happen, then 90% of the urban population by the end of the century will be living in urban areas. Okay, so the new term mega cities, the new term mega cities is termed by the recent concept of urbanization. Recent concept of urbanization. Write it down, what is mega city? Mega city is today's continuing trend of even larger metropolitan city. मेट्रोपॉलिटन से भी बड़ा शहर मेगा सिटी का कॉन्सेप्ट लेकर आता है. So mega city is the concept of today's urbanization. Mega city is the concept of today's urbanization in the continuing trend of even larger metropolitan areas. Even larger metropolitan areas. the number of mega cities, the number of mega cities rose from rose from just 2 in 1950, मतलब 1950 में सिर्फ 2 ही मेगा सिटीज थे, 2 in 1950, न्यूयॉर्क एंड लंदन exceeded to 50 above cities, exceeded to 50 plus mega cities among which 23 mega cities, among which 23 mega cities is located in Asia. Some of them are Tokyo, Japan, Tokyo, Japan, population above 8 million. Mexico City, Mexico, Mexico City, Mexico, Mumbai, India, Mumbai, India, New York, USA, Delhi, India, Kolkata, India, Sao Paulo, Brazil, SAOPAULO, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Shanghai, China, Shanghai, China, Jakarta, Indonesia, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Dhaka, Bangladesh, Dhaka, Bangladesh, Seoul, South Korea, Karachi, Pakistan, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Manila, Philippines, Paris, France, Cairo, Egypt, now write it down here. Urbanization in India. So after completing urbanization, we will start resource geography, energy and minerals, forest, land, water. So this will be the topics in the coming classes. फिर हम लोग इकोनॉमिक ज्योग्राफी पढ़ेंगे, वर्ल्ड एंड इंडिया ऑफ कोर्स. सो फर्स्ट वी हैव टू कवर द रिसोर्सेज. फिर हम लोग इंडस्ट्रीज़ को कवर करेंगे. मिनरल रिसोर्सेज के साथ ही इंडस्ट्रीज़ भी है, मिनरल बेस्ड इंडस्ट्रीज़. So simultaneously resource geography and economic geography will be in the continuation. Okay, and then we will discuss some recent and hybrid topics. Biogeography मैंने पढ़ाया नहीं था. Biogeography and disaster management साथ में शुरू करेंगे. Environment and ecology के concepts के साथ. including your disaster management also, uh, in 5 lectures, I think. Yeah. So urbanization in India. Write it down. India is one of the countries in which urban centers and urbanization flourished as early as 3000 BC. Flourished as early as 3000 BC. The urban centers of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the urban centers of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa may be cited as the example of prehistoric urbanization in India. Cited as prehistoric urbanization in India. During the ancient and medieval periods of Indian history, during the ancient and medieval period of Indian history, numerous towns and cities developed. Numerous towns and cities developed mainly because of socio-economic, geopolitical, and cultural reasons. Socio-economic, geopolitical, and cultural reasons. In recent, with the post-independent era, inclusive with British township development in India, inclusive with British township development in India, many new towns emerged beautifully and planned accordingly. Many new towns emerged beautifully and planned accordingly, like Chandigarh, Panchkula, Yamunanagar, Itanagar, Gautam Nagar, Dadri, Noida, Faridabad, Gurugram, Nagpur, etc. Urbanization in India after independence. Write it down. Box, enclosed box, and write here. Urbanization in India after independence. So independence के बाद जिस तरीके से फ्लरिशमेंट ऑफ सिटीज़ हुई हैं, बिकॉज बिफोर दैट देयर वाज ओनली मेन प्रोविंसेस सिटी डेवलपमेंट, कोलकाता, मुंबई, दिल्ली, कानपुर, है ना. लेकिन जिस तरीके से इंडिपेंडेंस, पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस दी फ्लरिशमेंट एंड लेटर 1990s के बाद post liberalization, also the flourishment of cities have evolved and developed in a very pace manner. बहुत जल्दी ही विस्तृत हो रहा है. So urbanization in India after independence. There has been a steady growth in the size and proportion of the urban population. There has been a steady growth and size of urban population in urban centers of India since independence. In urban centers of India since independence. The number of urban centers the number of urban centers and the level of urbanization and rapid rise since 1951 has surged to 285 million population. The trend and growth of population of urban cities in India, the trend and growth of population in urban cities in India has been categorized among among six classification. You know all the six classifications discussed already in the class. In 2001, India has 35 plus cities which exceed double in 2011. India has 35 million population occupied cities, doubled in 2011. Thus, urbanization process in India, thus urbanization process in India has essentially been the growth of large town and metropolitan cities instead of small and fragmented towns. एक तो आबादी इतनी है कि तुरंत ही एक शहर जो है बहुत बड़े और विस्तृत तौर पर बस जाता है ना कि छोटे छोटे तबकों में और टाउन्स में. So the state-wise urbanization is least in Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Manipur, Rajasthan, Jharkhand, Odisha, Sikkim, Bihar, Himachal Pradesh. The more expanded urbanization in Delhi, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Haryana, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, among them the capital territory Delhi is most urbanized. Among them the capital city Delhi is most urbanized with 93% of population, and on the second rank, and On the second rank, Chandigarh is the second union territory with population of 89.9%. Tamil Nadu is the most urbanized state. Tamil Nadu is the most urbanized state with the percentage of 43.9%, and Himachal Pradesh is the least urbanized state with 9.8%. Now, in the next, as I'm leaving all of you today early, so in the next class, classification of cities in India, state-wise population division in urban hubs in India, types of the pattern of cities like mega city, metropolitan, urban agglomeration, then town, then city, then the hierarchy of cities we'll discuss in next class. Slum as a major problem, the next facet of city. अगर एक शहर बन रहा है तो उसके साथ किस तरीके का स्लम इमरजेंस है, हाउ द स्लम इमरजेंस, एंड द प्लान्ड सिटी कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, स्मार्ट सिटी कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, व्हाट इज स्मार्ट विलेज कॉन्सेप्ट, ये क्या है ना, ये हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे नेक्स्ट क्लास में. देन विल डिस्कस ऑफ कोर्स नेशनल कैपिटल रीजन, एनसीआर का कॉन्सेप्ट कैसे आया, व्हाट इज़ द टर्म कॉल्ड सेटेलाइट टाउन, दिस गुड़गांव नोएडा, ये मेन सिटी के आसपास कैसे डेवलप करते हैं, सिटी कैसे ग्रो करता है, ये भी हम लोग देखेंगे. एंड सम ऑफ द साइलेंट फीचर्स ऑफ इंडियन अर्बनाइजेशन वी विल डिस्कस इन next class, which is on Monday. And after that we will start our resource geography, resource distribution in world, especially with the keeping the eye on South Asia resource development with the syllabus of main examination and prelims as well. And of course your economic geography. उसके बाद हम लोगों का मेजॉरिटी सेक्शंस ऑफ जो जोग्राफी का सिलेबस है वो कवर हो जाएगा. कितने पेज के नोट्स आप लोगों ने बना लिए अब तक ज्योग्राफी में? हाउ मेनी पेजेस ऑफ नोट्स? As I discussed yesterday's main question only, उसी को आप लोग लिखेंगे. द केस स्टडी ऑफ पोलावरम डैम एंड द मल्टी फेसेड आउटलुक ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. एक तरफ डेवलपमेंट और एक तरफ रिजेंटमेंट है. सो यू विल राइट ऑन द मेन एग्जामिनेशन क्वेश्चन ऑल ऑफ यू, and by the next class I will give you some of the more questions for practice. Yes, so yes, ending of class. Any doubt and query? ओके कितना नोट्स हो गया है अब तक दिव्या? एक कॉपी भरी या नहीं भरी है? कॉपी भर चुकी है? चलो, ऑल आई वॉज वॉन्टिंग दिस. 2 कॉपी अब है तुम्हारी. कॉपी पतली थी कि मोटी थी? कितने पेजेस थे? ओ अबाउट 300 पेजेस. गुड यार, सही है. कीप ऑन रिवाइजिंग द नोट्स. जहाँ पे स्टार मार्क लगवाया, बुलेट पॉइंट्स लगवाए हैं, है ना, अंडरलाइन करवाया है, तो जस्ट कीप ऑन रिमेंबरिंग दिस नोट्स एंड दिस फैक्ट्स, फिगर्स, डेटा. यही सब ज्योग्राफी के आंसर्स में आप लोग लिखेंगे, क्योंकि डेटा के बिना यू कांट मेक द आंसर कंक्रीट. सो यू हैव टू रेफर सम डेटाज कि देखो यहाँ पे इस परसेंटेज का डेवलपमेंट है, अर्बन एग्लोमरेशंस कैसे डेवलप हो रहे हैं, व्हाट इज़ द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ सैटेलाइट टाउन, व्हाट आर दी परसेंटेज ऑफ इट्स हाइकिंग। तो एक सिटी जब सेंटर में एक्सप्लोर हो रहा होता है तो उसके आसपास के रीजन्स भी एक्सप्लोर होने लगते हैं, है ना। तो इट्स लाइक नोडल पैटर्न ऑफ सिटी डेवलपमेंट। उतना थ्योरीज में हम नहीं जाते हैं और जीएस पेपर 1 ऑप्शनल पेपर में जब अर्बन ज्योग्राफी का पूरा पूरा सिलेबस पढ़ते हैं तो वी कम टू नो द नोडल पैटर्न्स ऑफ urbanization, how the cities grow, what are the types of growth of the city, है ना, सेंट्रीपेटल, सेंट्रीफ्यूगल, सर्कुलर, हेक्सागनल। तो सैटेलाइट टाउन्स जो हैं वो डेवलप हो रहे हैं, इनका कैसा पैटर्न है। इनफैक्ट अब जो मैंने लिखाया कि दीज लेस डेवलप सिटीज विल बी मोर डबल डेवलप्ड इन द कमिंग ईयर्स ऑफ टाइम, बिकॉज हर एक शहर का तरक्की का एक पूरा समय होता है, उसके बाद एवरीथिंग फॉल्स इन द डाउन, ठीक है। तो अभी गुड़गांव बहुत डेवलप कर रहा है ना, नवी मुंबई बहुत डेवलप कर रहा है, साउथ मुंबई बहुत डेवलप कर रहा है, बट एवरी सिटी हैज़ इट्स ओन स्पेस एंड फेज ऑफ डेवलपमेंट, देन एवरीथिंग रिटार्ड्स बैक। पॉपुलेशन पूरा भर जाएगा, सेटलमेंट पूरा भर जाएगा, अर्बनाइजेशन आ जाएगा, फिर चीज़ें खराब होती जाएंगी, डिटोरिएट होती जाएंगी, ठीक है। सो देयर इज़ अ फेज ऑफ ग्रोथ एंड डिक्लाइन एज वेल। So yeah, end of the class of today. We will meet on Monday. Till then, everybody take care and prepare well.